Alright, and welcome back. We're talking about the PS Vita, and there's really not much to say in my opinion about the PS Vita, because I've been seeing a lot of people talking about how, oh, the PS Vita could be great for emulation, or things like, you should get the Vita, test the Vita, and stuff like that all over the place. And I'm not really seeing why people like this thing so much, outside of what it's good at. And what it's good at is playing PlayStation games, not really anything else. And it's things like that that kind of drive me insane about the people who keep suggesting the Vita as a better alternative to something like emulation on an Android phone, fucking modded, or any other modded device, or something like an Ambernic RG351M. Anything like that is so much better than a Vita in terms of emulation. And it's not very common to see a PlayStation Vita emulator out and about. So, if you really like Vita games, I love Vita games. They're great games. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense if all you want to do is emulate other systems. It's not like the good old days of the PSP, where the PSP could emulate a fairly decent amount of things. It was a really cool piece of hardware to emulate on, because we have other better options now. A PS Vita costs upwards of $400 new, or around $300, $200 used. It's just stupid to suggest that this is a better option for emulation on the go than something like getting a cheap Android phone, or any of the Ambernic devices, even a Retroid Pocket or a Pocket Go device. Any of those devices would posit better emulation performance. And there's some interesting things you can do with this device. Instead of being such a Debbie Downer all the time, you may notice the footage I'm showing you right now. That's Sonic Mania. Isn't that crazy? I was able to get Sonic Mania on the thing. And I did a previous recording that I completely scrapped, and I just completely didn't mention it. I was like, oh, I should probably mention that. People might have a lot of questions on how the hell do I have Sonic Mania on a Vita, but I'll get into that later. And that's for the hacked portion of the video. So we'll just jump right into the first thing I did to my Vita, which I've owned this, by the way, for like 4 years. So if it's grubby, that's why. I initially bought this grip. This grip is pretty good. It's seen better days. It instantly broke on the right-hand side, the clip that held it in, and the left side broke like a year into it. And I've used glues, I've used blue tack, is what I've been mainly using. But I stopped using that a long time ago for it, because even though it doesn't have the grips, it could still hold it just fine. And other than that, it's a fine enough grip. It's very comfortable, I'll give it that. It was $20, so what can you expect? I got these recently, these stick grips for the Vita. It just has made me, using analog sticks so much more comfortable, because ever since the Switch's stick drift, I felt so uncomfortable using anything with a small analog stick. And those, with the concaveness of the concaveness of the stick grips made it so much more comfortable. And with the paddles on the back of this, using for the triggers for the grip, the grip cover, it's amazing. It makes it super comfortable. It makes playing games like Borderlands 2 on the Vita so much better. So the first thing you need for hacking is an SD to Vita card. You can find these for like $10, $5 anywhere really. I have a 128GB card in mine. It's fantastic. The first thing I did when I got my Vita was hack it and put Adrenal on it, because I loved my PSP, and that unfortunately died many years ago. And being able to hack this PS Vita to have Adrenaline on it, and I was able to play some of my favorite PSP games, like Kingdom Hearts, Dream Drop Distance. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. And Adrenaline has so many interesting features. And it's so fascinating, like, to even boot into the original PSP interface. I don't really do it that often because there's not very good reason to, but one of my favorite features is being able to jump through save states. That just allows playing games like Kingdom Hearts to, you know, just let me go at my own pace. Saves can be so far apart, and or if I want to just jump right back into a boss fight, not having to go through all the trouble of running back to the boss fight or anything like that. It could be a whole ordeal, especially in this game. And you know that this is probably like my 20th time going through this game. I played this game to death, but being able to jump from a game currently and jump into another game from a completely different system, it's so cool. Yeah, there's a little wait delay, but boom, I just went from Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance to Crash Bandicoot 2. I'm like, how I never thought growing up as a kid there'd be a future where I could do that. It's so cool. And now I'm gonna go from Crash Bandicoot 2 to Ratchet & Clank Science Matters, one of my favorite childhood games. And it's like so cool that adrenaline allows you to do that. Jump from game to game without even leaving the game itself. Technically, you'll see when I close Ratchet & Clank out, it still thinks I'm in Kingdom Hearts. It's so weird, and it's so interesting that the emulation allows you to do that kind of stuff. And not emulation necessarily, because it runs natively. Like if you look at Adrenaline, you can go into the actual PSP fucking start screen. And the way I used to remember how the whole emulation thing worked on that. It's like because software clone of this PS Vita. It's really fascinating. I'll put a link in the description for the guide I used to get there. I also loved this thing for Game Boy Advance emulation. I just really liked the screen size. It felt really comfortable. But that's all it really can do, in my opinion. Yeah, don't really like this thing for emulation all that much. Yeah, it runs great when it works, and that's not even saying that it doesn't work all the time. I've never had a problem with Game Boy Advance, but anytime I wanted to do something other than Game Boy Advance, I've had nothing but problems. And it just boils down to the fact that this thing wasn't ever gonna be that good for emulation. Like, if you bought this thing back in 2013 and right then you hacked it, and then you got all these systems that do work now on it, yeah, you can make an argument saying this is the best thing, because now we have, you know, Dreamcast and N64 emulation on the go, which in 2013 was a pretty novel concept. We didn't have other devices to choose from. We didn't have Ion Neos or Ion Odins or anything like an Android phone powerful enough to do it. It was 2013. Android phones were on like version 6, and it was terrible. iPhones were locked down. There weren't very many other handheld options. There wasn't like you could hack a fucking 3DS to do this at the time, let alone have the same performance. Or even custom devices like the Ambernic devices, or Retro Pocket, or Retro Go, I think that was the other one. And so it's like, yes, at the time you could argue this being an excellent choice for homebrew and emulation, but I can't agree with that sentiment today. It just nothing would be compelling because how overpriced these things are. Damn near $400 new, and it's just ridiculous. Like, this is every time I tried getting Super Nintendo to work, this happened. I had it working for a while, but now it just fucking crashes or does something, or can't find my ROMs folder anymore. It's frankly ridiculous. I don't understand why people suggest the Vita still as like this, oh, it's the best emulation device. I just think it's because people love hacking official hardware and then claiming that's the best solution because it's the thing you already have. And if you have it and that's all you have, yeah, it is the best choice thing. But like every time I've tried getting Flycast to work, I either got black screened or sent straight into RetroArch, or even got an error which I was able to diagnose but never could fix because I couldn't figure it out. Like, I did all this searching, so many Reddit posts, and I couldn't figure it out, and it just drove me insane. And I don't, to this day, I see people in the comments of other YouTube videos talk about emulation saying, oh, you shouldn't use an Android phone, you shouldn't buy an Android device. The PS Vita or a PS, just hack a Vita or just hack a PSP. It's a great option. And it's like, come on, you're deluded if you think that's a good option today. It was damn near 10 years ago when we didn't have so many better things to do. But at the end of the day, just I don't think I could recommend this unless you already own it. But like, even still, if you're so desperate to play, retro games, you probably have a better experience than other devices you have. Better experience on your phone or purchasing something else. And it's just like, the Vita is so expensive. It has good games, actual Vita games. And you can even get some Switch games to work on it. Like, I got Sonic Mania to work. That's crazy. But at the end of the day, I just can't recommend this thing. It's overpriced, overvalued, and overrated in terms of emulation. It's only good if you really like PSP, really like PS1, and really like PS Vita games. So it's like, at the end of the day, yeah, it has its fans, but I just can't recommend this to anyone else. And on that sour note, have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. And comment down below if you want me to check out any other devices. And also, all the other social media garbage is down there too. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And see ya.